Jason Rose stood near the glowing white pillars of the Grand Hall of Valeria, the capital city of the alien planet Valthora. It was his first time outside the solar system. Everything around him felt like a dream: the tall blue trees outside, the golden clouds in the sky, and the strange humming sound in the air. But this wasn't a dream. It was a peace mission. And Jason, though young, was chosen as Earth's first human cultural diplomat. The hall was full of important aliens' royalty, scholars, and guards dressed in bright armor. The Valtharians were tall, thin, with soft lavender skin and glowing white eyes. They moved like dancers, their long robes trailing behind them like liquid silk. Jason checked his translator device again. It was working perfectly. He had practiced the greeting words many times. Still, he was nervous. This moment would be recorded and watched by both humans and aliens across galaxies. A soft bell rang. Everyone became silent. From the tall door at the end of the hall, she entered Princess Cerelia, the only daughter of the Valtharian king. Jason had seen her pictures in the files, but they didn't show her true beauty. Her face was gentle, but strong. Her hair was like flowing starlight, silver and soft. She wore a robe made of shimmering fabric that changed color when she moved. As she walked, everyone bowed their heads. Jason followed the same, unsure if he was doing it right, an older alien. The royal advisor stepped forward and spoke loudly. Princess Cerelia of Valthora, first of her name, welcomes the human delegate. Jason Rowe of Earth. Jason walked forward, his steps slow and careful. He stopped just a few feet in front of the princess. This was the moment. Extended his hand to human greeting. The room held its breath. Cerelia looked at his hand, then looked into his eyes. Slowly, gracefully, she reached out and touched his palm. Their hands met. And suddenly, she trembled. Her whole body shook slightly, but enough for everyone nearby to notice. The glowing light around her flickered for a moment. The guards stepped forward, their hands near their weapons. Jason froze, confused and frightened. Did he do something wrong? But then Cerelia raised her other hand slowly and signaled her guards to stop. Her expression was unreadable, but her voice was calm. "This one may remain," she said. Jason released her hand carefully. His heart was racing. The advisor nodded, and the ceremony continued, but Jason could feel the change in the room. Whispers started, and eyes watched him differently now. Later that evening, Jason sat in the guest wing of the royal palace. The walls were made of some smooth white stone that glowed faintly in the dark. A soft wind came through the open window, carrying the smell of sweet alien flowers. He kept replaying the handshake in his mind. Her tremble. The way her light dimmed for a second. Was it a sign of sickness, fear, some unknown rule he had broken? Soft beep came from his translator. A message. "We need to speak. Come to the garden. Come alone." Cerelia. Jason's stomach turned. This could be good or very, very bad. He left the room quietly, following the glowing path lights toward the royal gardens. Valthoran flowers glowed like small lanterns. Trees whispered in a soft voice only the wind understood. Jason reached a quiet clearing near a pond that reflected the stars above. She was there. Princess Cerelia standing near the water. "Alone, Your Highness," Jason said, bowing slightly. "No need for titles tonight," she said softly. "Call me Cerelia." Jason nodded, still unsure. She turned to face him. Her glowing eyes searched his face. "You wonder why I trembled," she said. "Yes," Jason admitted. "Did I hurt you? No," she replied. "You didn't hurt me. You surprised me." He waited as she walked toward him. "My people are sensitive to energy-life resonance," she said. "It is like a song each living being carries. Most people's songs do not match. But when I touched you, Jason, ... I felt a perfect harmony. It shook me." Jason blinked. "Harmony," she nodded. "Something that hasn't happened in thousands of years. A rare connection. My people call it the resonant bond. It's something told in legends, a perfect match between life forces." Jason laughed nervously. "That can't be." I'm just human. I've never felt anything strange about myself. But I felt it, Sorelia said, and that is enough. It is why I trembled. Jason looked at her, trying to find the right words. So, ... What does it mean? She looked away, toward the stars. It means you are dangerous, Jason. Not because of what you did, but because of what you are. Dangerous? He asked, shocked. I didn't ask for any of this. I know, she said. But the nobles, they won't care. They fear change and you with this. Resonance could change everything. He stepped closer. Then why call me here? She looked at him again, her eyes softer now. Because I don't want to fear you. I want to understand this connection. But we must keep it secret for now. Jason nodded. I'll follow your lead, Sorelia. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The wind danced gently around them. I'm sorry I made things harder for you, Jason said quietly. You didn't, she said. In fact, I think you've just started something that was waiting for ages. Later that night, as Jason walked back to his room, he felt a strange warmth inside him. Not just from the talk, but from her presence. Something in her words stayed with him. A song each life carries. And when their hands touched, maybe, just maybe, their songs really did match. But he didn't know that others had seen her tremble. Others had guessed what it meant. In the shadows of the palace, whispers had already begun. Whispers that spoke of danger, of betrayal, of power. And soon, Jason Rotha, young human diplomat, would become much more than he ever expected. The next morning, Jason Rowe woke up to the soft hum of alien music echoing through the palace walls. Sunlight, a pale golden color, shone through the crystal ceiling of his guest room, but his mind wasn't at peace. He sat up in bed, still thinking about what Princess Sorelia had told him the night before. Life resonance. A connection so rare that it only existed in legend. A perfect harmony between two life forms. Jason had come to Valthora expecting formal meetings, handshakes, and maybe a speech. Not a magical energy bond with an alien princess. Not a secret meeting under starlight. Definitely not the weight of a 1,000-year-old prophecy. But here he was at breakfast. Jason sat quietly at a long glass table beside several other delegates to humans and a few Valtharian scholars. He ate the glowing fruit carefully, his mind far away. He could feel eyes on him. Across the room, a tall Valtharian noble named Lord Rexer was watching him closely. Rexer was an old advisor of the royal court, with dark skin like polished stone. In cold, violet eyes. He didn't smile. He didn't blink. He just stared. Jason shifted in his seat. Something told him this man had already heard about last night. After the meal, an assistant approached Jason. Princess Sorelia requests your presence in the Crystal Library, the assistant said. Alone, Jason nodded. He was starting to realize this journey wasn't just about peace. It was something deeper, something mysterious. The Crystal Library of Valthora was unlike anything Jason had seen before. Books floated in the air, glowing softly. The walls were made of mirrors that reflected not just light, but memories. It was quiet, peaceful, and somehow alive. Sorelia stood in the center, wearing a simple white robe. Her silver hair hung over her shoulders, and her eyes looked tired, but focused. You came, she said. Of course, Jason replied. What is this place? She smiled. This is where our oldest truths are kept. Not just stories, but the energy of those stories. Jason walked closer. You said I awakened something in you. Something dangerous? I want to understand. She nodded. Come, I'll show you. Sorelia raised her hand and one of the floating books flew down gently. It opened in the air by itself. Inside, glowing symbols danced across the pages. Jason couldn't read them, but Sorelia began to explain. A long time ago, our ancestors believed in something called the resonant bond. They believed every life form had a kind of soul song, a pattern of energy. If two beings shared the same pattern, they could connect mind, body, and spirit. She turned the page. A glowing image appeared, a Valtharian touching hands with a different alien. Both glowed brightly, but this connection was rare. Rare. So rare that most of our people now believe it's a myth, she said. Jason listened closely. But when we touched, she met his eyes. I felt it. I still feel it, and it's growing stronger. Jason swallowed. What does that mean for you? For your people? Sorelia looked down. That's the problem. I don't know. Last recorded bond like this caused great fear among the nobles. The two beings became so powerful that others tried to separate them permanently. Jason stepped back. You mean they were killed? Sorelia nodded slowly. Their energy disturbed the balance. That's what the nobles fear, and that's why we must be careful. Jason took a deep breath. So what do we do now? I don't know yet, she said. But I want to understand it with you. I want to see if this bond is a curse or a gift. Outside the library, Lord Rexer walked slowly down a hallway, listening to his personal assistant whisper in his ear. So, the princess continues to meet with the human. In secret? Rexer asked. Yes, my lord, the assistant replied, and some say she glows brighter when he is near. Rexer's face darkened. Then the rumors are true. What will you do? I will protect Valthora Rexer, said coldly. Even if it means removing the human before the bond becomes unbreakable. Meanwhile, back in the library, Sorelia suddenly winced and leaned on the floating book. Jason caught her arm. Are you okay? She nodded weakly. Starting again. Jason watched in shock as her skin began to glow, brighter and brighter. Sparks of light danced across her fingers. Her eyes lit up like stars. I can't stop it, she whispered. Your presence makes it stronger. I thought I could control it, but... Jason held her gently. You said the bond is growing. Is it dangerous? I don't know, she said, breathing fast. But it's not just me. Waking something inside you too? Jason looked at his hands. For a moment they sparkled faintly just like hers. He stared. That's never happened before. Sorelia looked at him, her voice shaking. The bond is waking up. The palace is watching us. Later that evening, Jason walked alone in the gardens again, thinking. He was scared, but also curious. He had always thought of himself as average, didn't have special talents or powers or fame. Just a curious mind and a strong sense of duty. But now, something inside him was changing. His thoughts were interrupted when General Velth, the royal protector, stepped out from the shadows. Jason jumped. General. Velth was tall, strong, and silent most of the time. But tonight, he looked worried. I am here to warn you, Velth said softly. There is a plot against you. Jason stiffened. A plot, yes. Lord Rexer has begun to gather support. He believes you are a danger to the crown. Of the bond? Yes. Velth nodded. He will act soon. He will not care if it causes war. Jason clenched his fists. Then why are you telling me this? Because the princess trusts you, Velth said. And I trust her. If you are truly bonded, then you are not our enemy. But you must be ready. Ready for what? Ready to fight for her and for yourself? That night, Jason wrote a message to his commanders on Earth. He didn't share everything, just that something unusual was happening and that peace might not be guaranteed. He didn't know how they would respond. But he had to be honest. Because now he wasn't just Earth's guest. He was part of something much, much bigger. In her private chamber, Sorelia stood near the window, holding a glowing crystal in her hand. Her fingers trembled. Her powers were growing. Her mind was changing. She could feel Jason's thoughts even from across the palace. It scared her. But it also gave her hope. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel alone. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the resonant bond was real again. The golden towers of the Valthorin Palace shone brightly in the morning light. Everything looked calm on the outside, but inside, whispers had already begun to spread. Some called it fate. Others called it danger. But no one could ignore it anymore, though. Human and the princess had formed a bond. Jason Rowe walked through the halls, feeling the eyes of nobles and guards follow him. Their polite faces no longer hid the tension. Even the palace servants moved differently around him, quieter, more careful. He had received a message from Princess Sorelia to meet her again in the Crystal Library. But before he could reach the doors, a voice stopped him. "You walk boldly, human." Jason turned. It was Lord Rexer. Rexer stood tall, his dark purple robes flowing behind him like smoke. His eyes were sharp, glowing faintly with power. He did not smile. "I walk where I'm invited," Jason replied calmly. Rexer stepped closer. "You have no idea what you are, do you?" Jason frowned. "I didn't ask for any of this. But you hold power now," Rexer said. "Power that doesn't belong to you. And you stand too close to our future queen." "Let me give you a warning," Rexer continued. "Leave Valthora. End this bond, or you will not leave at all." Before Jason could respond, Rexer turned and disappeared down the hall. Jason clenched his fists. It was clear now this wasn't just politics. This was war waiting to happen. In the library, Sorelia was already waiting. She looked tired. Her silver hair was slightly dull, and her breathing was slower. "You're not well," Jason said. "I feel ... like something inside me is changing," she said quietly. "The bond is pulling me toward you." Jason sat down across from her. "Rexer confronted me. He wants me gone." "I know," she said. "He's already trying to convince the council to declare you a threat." Jason leaned forward. "Then let's tell the truth. Let's show them what this bond really means."
Is she?
Looked into his eyes. They won't believe it. To them, bonding with a human is a weakness, or worse, betrayal. Jason nodded slowly. "Then we proved them wrong together." Sorelia touched his hand gently. A soft light glowed between them. Their energy danced like tiny stars. "I can feel your heartbeat," she whispered. "And I can feel your thoughts," Jason replied. "Not clearly, but like a warm feeling in my chest." She smiled. "The bond is growing." Later that day, Jason sat with General Velth in the training yard. The general handed him a thin silver Rada Valtheron weapon known as a pulse. "Staff, you need to learn to defend yourself," Velth said. "Rexer will strike soon." "I'm not a fighter," Jason said. "You may not have a choice." Jason trained with Velth for hours, learning how to block, strike, and control his movements. Sweat ran down his face, but he didn't stop. Every moment he thought of Sorelia. He had to protect her. And to do that, he had to become stronger. Meanwhile, Rexer gathered with 3 other nobles in a secret chamber below the palace. The room was filled with glowing crystals and old scrolls. "The bond is real," Rexer said. "It's affecting her mind, her body, her powers." One of the nobles frowned. "And the human?" "Getting stronger," Rexer replied. "Our ancestors were right. This bond brings chaos. It must be broken." Another noble asked, "How?" Rexer smiled darkly. "We separate them by force, if needed. And if the human resists, we end him." That night, Jason and Sorelia stood on a balcony, watching the stars. The sky was filled with strange colors: blue, green, silver. "Do you ever feel afraid?" Jason asked. "All the time," Sorelia said. "But not when I'm with you." He looked at her. "I don't know why this bond chose us. I don't even know if it's real magic, or science, or just something the universe wanted." Sorelia turned toward him. "Doesn't matter. What matters is that we trust it." Jason nodded suddenly. A loud noise echoed through the palace. An explosion. The ground shook. Alarms rang out. Guards ran through the halls, shouting. Jason grabbed Sorelia's hand. "Stay with me." They rushed through the palace together. Smoke filled the air near the west wing. Velth met them in the hallway, sword in hand. "Rexer has made his move," Velth said. "He's attacking the inner court. They're trying to take you, Princess." Jason pulled the pulse staff from his belt. "We'll fight." Sorelia's eyes glowed bright. "No, we'll show them what the bond really is." In the throne room, Rexer stood before the Council of Nobles. His robe was torn, and his voice was loud. "The princess has fallen under human control," he shouted. "The bond is poisoning her mind." One noble stood up. "Then where is she?" Rexer smiled. "She'll be here soon, and we'll see the truth with our own eyes." At that moment, the doors opened. Jason and Sorelia entered, side by side, their hands glowing with shared energy. Gasps filled the room. "You dare show your face?" Rexer growled. "I dare to show the truth," Sorelia said. Her voice echoed with strength. "This bond is not poison. It is light." "She's not well," Rexer said to the council. "Look at her. Her powers are unstable." "I am not." "Sick," she said calmly. "I am becoming something new." Jason stepped forward. "This bond doesn't make her weak. It makes us stronger together." Rexer raised his hand. "Seize them." Guards moved forward but suddenly stopped. Sorelia's glow became so bright that the floor beneath her feet lit up. Jason's staff hummed with energy. Everyone watched as the two stood, united, glowing brighter than anyone had ever seen. The oldest member of the council stood up slowly. "I have seen this before," she said quietly. "Long ago, when the stars aligned, when the bond formed." Rexer turned. "You believe this madness?" "I believe the truth," she said. "The bond is real." The room fell silent. Rexer stepped back. For the first time, his face showed fear. "You cannot stop what has already begun," Sorelia said. "The bond is here, and it will change everything." Later, as peace returned to the palace, Jason sat beside Sorelia in the royal garden. Their hands still touched. Their energy was calm, now gentle, like the wind. "Do you think they'll accept us now?" he asked. "Some will," she said. "Others never will. But we have each other." Jason smiled. "We're not going anywhere." Above them, two moons rose in the sky, side by side. Different in shape, but moving together, just like them. The Valtheran sun rose slowly over the horizon, casting long shadows on the grand palace of Valeria. Inside the royal chambers, Princess Sorelia sat quietly, her hands trembling as she tried to control the energy swirling within her. The soft glow of light pulsed around her fingers like tiny stars. Beautiful, but wild and unpredictable. Jason Rowe watched her carefully. His own hand still felt warm from their last touch, but he did not glow. "Not yet. It's getting stronger." Sorelia whispered, "I can feel it everywhere in my body, in my mind. Sometimes I don't know who I am anymore." Jason stepped closer. "Can you control it?" She shook her head slowly. "No. The bond is awakening, but I'm afraid it will break me before it helps me." Jason reached out and took her hand gently. The soft light between them flickered like a small flame in the wind. "We will find a way," he said. "Together." Days passed, and Sorelia's condition grew worse. The palace healers tried every Valtheran treatment they knew, but nothing calmed the wild energy inside her. At times, her skin shimmered so brightly that the walls glowed with her light. Jason sat with her one evening in the crystal library. The room's soft reflection showed the struggle in her eyes. "There's an old legend," Sorelia said quietly. "It tells of a ritual that can stabilize the resonant bond. It binds two souls completely, balancing their energies." Jason leaned forward. "Why don't we try it?" She looked away, sadness in her voice. "Because it has never been done between a human and a Valtharian. No one knows if it will work or if it will kill us both." Jason took a deep breath. "I don't care. I want to save you." Sorelia smiled faintly. "You are brave, Jason, or maybe foolish." He smiled back. "Maybe both." Meanwhile, in the shadowy halls below the palace, Lord Rexer met with his conspirators. The old noble's face was dark with anger and fear. "The bond grows," Rexer said, "and so does the princess's power. If we don't act soon, we will lose everything." One conspirator asked, "How will you stop it?" Rexer's eyes glinted. "I will use the chains of Sereth ancient bindings that can suppress even the strongest energies." The others nodded grimly. The chains were said to trap souls, imprisoning their powers forever. To Rexer, they were the only way to save Valthora back. In the palace, Sorelia and Jason prepared for the ritual. The place was the Crystal Cavern, an ancient temple deep beneath the palace. Its walls shone with millions of tiny crystals, and the air hummed with old magic. General Velth escorted them through narrow tunnels, his face serious but calm. "The ritual is dangerous," Velth warned. If either of you is not truly bonded, one or both may not survive. Jason nodded. I understand. But we have no choice. Sorelia took Jason's hand as they entered the cavern's heart. Inside the cavern, an elder priestess awaited them. Her silver hair fell over her shoulders, and her eyes glowed softly. Are you ready? She asked. Sorelia and Jason exchanged. Glances we are, Sorelia said firmly. The priestess began the ceremony. She chanted in the old language, and the crystals pulsed with energy. Jason felt a strange warmth spreading through his body. The priestess raised her hands, and a circle of light surrounded Jason and Sorelia. Their hands glowed brighter than ever. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through Jason's arm where they touched. He gritted his teeth but did not pull away. Sorelia's eyes fluttered closed as the energy swirled faster and faster. The cavern shook. Then, silence. Jason opened his eyes. Sorelia was smiling softly, her skin glowing warmly but gently. The wild Tremble was gone. We did it, she whispered. Jason looked at his hands. They were glowing softly steady, calm. The priestess nodded. The bond is sealed. Your energies are balanced. But the victory was short-lived. Back in the palace, Lord Rexer's forces struck suddenly. The Dark Guards used the chains of Sereth and burst into the royal chambers. Jason and Sorelia fought side by side, their bond giving them strength. Jason wielded his pulse staff with newfound skill. Sorelia's light formed a shield around them, protecting them from arrows and blasts. Rexer appeared, dragging the chains in his hands. You think your bond can save you? He sneered.
Yes.
These chains will break your connection and your spirits. Sorelia stepped forward, her glowing eyes locked on Rexer. No, she said firmly. Our bond is stronger than your hatred. Jason raised his staff. The air around them shimmered with a burst of light. Chains shattered. Rexer fell to his knees, defeated. After the battle, the palace was quiet. The nobles had seen the true power of the resonant bond. Some were afraid, some were hopeful, but all knew one thing for sure: the world had changed. In the garden, Jason and Sorelia sat beneath the twin moons, their hands still glowing softly in the dark. Whatever happens next, Jason said, we face it together. Sorelia smiled. I believe the bond will guide us. Jason looked at the stars, feeling a new hope rising inside him, because sometimes the strongest power is not from weapons or magic, but from connection. The morning light spilled softly over the grand halls of Valeria Palace. The air was thick with tension. After the failed attack, the palace was on high alert. Every shadow seemed to hide an enemy, every whisper a secret plan. Jason Rowe stood beside Princess Sorelia in the throne room. Both glowed softly, their bond still fresh but strong. The nobles gathered, eyes wide with fear and curiosity. This was the moment everyone had waited for, the final confrontation. Lord Rexer stormed in, his dark robes trailing behind him like smoke. His face was twisted with anger and hate. You think your little bond can save you? He sneered. Have no idea what forces you have unleashed. Jason gripped his pulse staff tightly. We've unleashed hope. Sorelia stepped forward, her voice calm but powerful. Your time is over, Rexer. The people want peace, not fear. Rexer laughed bitterly. Peace. There can be no peace with humans. You are a threat to everything we are. The nobles murmured among themselves. Many looked uncertain. Suddenly the door slammed shut behind Rexer. A group of loyal palace guards blocked the exits. This ends now, General Velth said firmly. No one leaves until this is settled. Rexer's eyes flickered with dark energy. Very well. Then face your fate. He raised his hand, and dark shadows gathered around him. The room grew cold. The nobles gasped. Jason felt Sorelia's hand tighten around his. Their bond flared with bright light. Together, Sorelia whispered. Jason nodded. Together, Rexer attacked first, sending waves of dark energy crashing toward them. Jason raised his pulse staff, deflecting the blasts with glowing shields of light. Cerelia's eyes shone like stars as she raised her hands. A brilliant barrier formed around them, protecting the throne room. Rexer growled and charged, but every strike was met with their united energy. The battle was fierce. The palace trembled with the force of their powers as they fought. Jason could feel the bond growing stronger. He and Cerelia moved as one, her thoughts guiding his actions, his courage fueling her strength. The nobles watched in awe as the human and the Valtharian princess stood side by side, unstoppable. Finally, Jason saw an opening. The swift strike of his pulse staff broke through Rexer's shield. Cerelia unleashed a wave of light that pushed Rexer back. Rexer fell to his knees, exhausted and defeated. The room fell silent. Cerelia stepped forward. "This is the future, one where we stand together, not apart." Jason smiled. "Where our bond is our greatest strength." The nobles slowly nodded, some with tears in their eyes. General Velth approached Rexer and said, "Your reign of fear is over." Rexer looked up, defeated but quiet. Maybe... This bond is stronger than I feared. Days later, the palace held a grand ceremony. Cerelia was crowned Queen of Valthera. Beside her stood Jason, honored as the official ambassador of Earth and her life partner. The crowd cheered, humans and Valtharians united. C-I-R-L-I-A spoke to the crowd. Agar. Bond is a symbol of hope. It shows that even the most different among us can come together to build a better future. Jason looked at her, his heart full. When he shook hands with her long ago, he never imagined this journey, but now he knew they had changed each other's worlds forever.